All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us. Today we will be talking about the 2019 holiday selling season prep. For the agenda, we'll be going over a brief introduction, prepping for the holiday storm, getting your ship together, 3 fixes to make this fall, and then we'll be going into a Q&A. So please, if you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to submit those right away to our questions tab, and we'll make sure to try to get to them at the end. Just a little brief introduction to Webgility. We here at Webgility have worked with thousands of Amazon sellers. We are a member of Amazon's Developer Council, founded by an Amazon veteran, and the #1 automation software for Amazon sellers on QuickBooks and NetSuite. And today you'll be speaking with me. I am Sarah Turney. I have 10 years of retail experience, 12 years of e-commerce experience, and of course, Joey Wilson. He's been on the Webgility sales team for over 2 years now and has 4 years of previous e-commerce/retail experience. So we're going to get started with a poll question today. We're just kind of curious to see how many of you have started prepping for the holiday season. So we're going to give about 30 seconds for this poll. Make sure everybody has a chance to participate. Right, just getting a few more answers. All right, I'm going to close the poll in about 5 seconds. All right, so it looks like about 60% of you have actually started prepping. So that's actually better than I thought. That's really exciting. And of course, you know, the 40% of you still have time. It is not too late. And from here, close this real quick. All right, from here, I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to Joey.
Hey there. Thanks, Sarah. Cool. So I'll be talking about the 2 kind of middle sections here, just generally prepping for the holiday storm, and then getting your ship together. And the reason I'm really excited to talk about these topics is because of the experience I've had in the past. First of all, I've kind of lived through the extremely seasonal business and dealt with, what that looks like, selling on multiple channels and just the absolute mess that can come with, people calling all day, fulfilling things, ordering stuff from the vendors in time, all that stuff. So yeah, we'll go ahead and go through that. Kind of get to this next screen here. So it's a kind of high-level overview of the topics we'll go into. We're gonna be looking at inventory management, making sure things just stay organized and accurate. Trying to identify as many kind of bottlenecks in your different workflows as you can, because as I'm sure everyone's experienced before, but it bears repeating, those bottlenecks are going to stand out when your systems are stressed, when you're having the highest volume of orders. You're not really going to notice them as much. They might be kind of annoying in June, July, but when it's crunch time, you don't want those things kind of coming back to bite you. So trying to identify those ahead of time. Also keeping in mind that the more business you do, the more orders you get. It also means more data entry has to happen somewhere. Either you got assistants or bookkeepers or systems doing that, but more data is flowing from one place to another or to multiple places. And next is going to be just talking about profits and making sure things are tracked there, as far as where are the different revenues coming from, what are your actual expenses. And I just like that quote of kind of the degree to which you measure things, they will get managed. So some people just kind of measure at a global level. Hey, was I generally profitable this year? But you can also think about taking a step further, like, okay, what exactly is my shipping profitability or my cost of goods sold? Can I get a better rate from my vendor if I order in bulk or choose a different vendor? Things like that you can kind of start to dive into if you have the access to the data. And then finally, kind of the topic of forecasting and lead times. This is definitely what you should be thinking about if you haven't already started doing this, ordering ahead of time for what you're going to be selling or kind of projecting to sell during the holidays, because your vendors obviously have seasons too, and if you wait, they're going to be pretty busy with people who started ordering ahead of you. So that's kind of the overview, and we'll get into the next first section here. So yeah, the kind of first, and there's no particular order to these, but a good place to start here is just cleaning house. That means whether you have your own warehouse or maybe you fulfill out of a third-party logistics type of situation, whatever that process is for you, you want to just make sure you kind of clean house, make sure you get rid of things like slow-moving inventory, damaged goods, or just kind of outdated items, or even kind of supplies that you have, like shipping tools, printers, computers, all those kinds of things you want to try to audit if you can, in advance. Particularly with like slow-moving inventory, I want to touch on that because I think there's, in some cases, of course, you can get through that in the holidays, but a lot of times slow-moving inventory is just slow-moving inventory because people don't want it, or for whatever other reason. And it's, in my experience, just best to try to make room, just sell through that stuff, sell it on eBay, donate it, whatever you have to do. Get the actual inventory that you need and that you want to sell, that the market wants to buy, now, so that you can have really great holiday season and not be sitting on dead inventory there. The other part of cleaning your systems is just making sure, or your inventory rather, is want to make sure that your systems are up to date. So maybe kind of do an audit or cycle counts of your inventory, make sure you actually have the quantities you think you have, that the prices are what they should be, and that your SKUs or ASINs and product descriptions, all that stuff is as tight as possible. Moving on here. So the next thing to think about is, as I mentioned earlier, your processes, trying to identify those bottlenecks. So if you can, try to really just map it out. And this isn't an exhaustive list here, just sort of, some ideas to think about, like, hey, what are my selling channels? Where do sales come from? Who are my employees and what do they do? What are the actual day-to-day tasks that they manage? And what systems are they interacting with? Are they using, are they interfacing with QuickBooks? Are they just, dealing with your Shopify website? Are they going into Amazon? How are you, actually processing your orders? So just kind of going through that process and try to identify how much time you actually spend on each task. And this is something that I would recommend for everyone to do, business owners and managers and employees alike. This is something that one of my old bosses had everyone do in my previous job is, hey, just for a week or 2 weeks, literally write down everything you do every hour of the day, and you'll be surprised where you find either just kind of dead time or places where you can maybe move things around, just to make that a little more efficient, and just look for those areas where there's maybe some redundancies or things just take longer than maybe they should. And then think about how they can be improved. There's usually a few options for that. One is cut the process entirely, replace it, or just get rid of it. You can fire people, you can hire people if you need more hands, or you can find systems to automate. So next thing here is kind of on a similar topic of just mapping things out, making lists, trying to track stuff, but more in reference to your numbers. So from the accounting and kind of bookkeeping standpoint, do you actually know with certainty what your expenses are and what your product income was, or if you do any services, what was that, your taxes collected, your shipping, and then what were your expenses and liabilities, right? What are you paying your vendors for the products, for the shipping to you, for your shipping to the customer? Do you know your marketplace fees by order or even per marketplace? Your payment processor fees. So again, not an exhaustive list here. There's so many expenses, to having to do with running any business, but these are just some topics to kind of get those wheels spinning. Even things like your overhead and just operational systems that you might have, like your accounting, your inventory systems. Those are all costs and to take into account of running the business. And it's a good time. There's still time now. It's September to maybe give a last double check. Hey, am I using the best systems? Do I have the right kind of processes in place? Are there any expenses that I can cut? Or are there areas that I should be paying more to get better services? Or should I pay for more inventory that I know I'm going to sell? So this is the time to do that while you still got a little lead time on October. All right, so kind of second to last in this category here of prepping for the holiday storm. Track, synchronize, automate. So what I want to kind of go over here is, after you've sort of counted things up, you've looked at your systems, you've looked at your inventory and your costs, you want to try to, as best you can, plan your business around being connected. The more things that your systems can talk to each other, it's just going to eliminate, again, those kind of redundancies and manual entries. So one place to start there is, and I kind of touched on this earlier, but really track an order life cycle from start to finish. From somebody going on your website or Amazon, what happens when they go to the checkout page? Put their card information in. Okay, then what? Then they buy. Then the processor processes it. You get some kind of notification. Then somebody finds that order. You got to fulfill it somehow. Start to finish. Track that. Find out where there's human intervention or maybe there's some inefficiency there. And then that's where you can start to look for solutions. Again, whether that's human, hey, we need someone else to help here, or some kind of system to automate. Like if you're, one example that I'm always surprised to hear as often as I do is, yeah, we get an order and then Susan prints it out, walks it 100 feet to the shipping desk. They print a label for it, tell Susan what the tracking number is. She walks back to her desk and updates it to the store. And that is extremely manual. Believe it or not, it still happens in a lot of businesses, and there's a ton of things that you can do to speed things like that up. And you don't want that, again, kind of biting you in the butt in the middle of the holidays when you have people calling, people requesting refunds and trying to ship things out before too, so they get their present in time. Yeah, so that's kind of it on that topic. And just, again, with the general sort of overarching theme that, during the holidays, that is when your systems are stressed. The more things you can do to decrease, busy work of your humans, the more time they can spend dealing with those customer calls, dealing with your vendors, and doing things to drive business to your company. So. All right, I think this is the last part of this section here, kind of on the topic of forecasting. So won't get too deep into details here, but again, it's just, this is the time to give it some thought. Take a look at, what happened to your sales last year. Did they go up by 20%, 30% for those holiday months? Also, what have you changed between now and then? That you can kind of expect or count on to influence that. Do you have better systems? Do you have better marketing? Do you have a bigger product selection that maybe you should adjust? Maybe not just match what you did last year for your projection, but maybe add 10% to that. And then also you want to think about, if you Obviously, if you're the manufacturer yourself, then you want to think about your own manufacturing process. What are my lead times for getting new things in if I run out? If you're buying things from a vendor, you want to have a good relationship there and understand, okay, what are my lead times now? What are they going to be later? In the case that I kind of miscalculate and underproject, and I need to get stuff in quickly so that I don't miss out on sales. And my last kind of note on that really is, well, one, you want to have those kind of contingency plans. Like, what do I do if I messed up? Because almost 100% guarantee no one's going to have a totally perfect forecast, but you can get a good idea if you look at the data, from what you have. But the other part of that is know your vendor. So I have this kind of anecdote. Again, I used to work for a retail kind of sporting goods company, and they had this rule go into effect one year where all female participants had to wear this hair cap. It's like neoprene or lycra, fabric hair cap. They all had to have it. Everyone drastically underestimated how many females there were in the sport. So what happened was there was 3 vendors. 2 of them sold out entirely in about a week, and they got their stuff from China, and they were like, yeah, hey, tough luck, we are sold out until next year. There's one vendor that made their stuff in the US, and they could get, they ran out, but they could get it back in stock really quickly. And it turned out we were their favorite customer. So you can guess who got all those. As soon as they made more, we got that next shipment immediately. And so, in the eyes of our customers, we were, looking pretty good. So you want to have those good vendor relationships so that you can kind of come out on top in sticky situations like that.
All right, it looks like it's time for another poll. Go ahead and get this launched for you guys. Okay, so what is your biggest obstacle in the holiday selling season? Is it forecasting demand for your inventory, keeping up with data entry, overselling out of stock items, analyzing profitability, or processing orders on time? So I'm going to give you guys another 30 seconds or so just to get your answers in there. All right, we've got about 40% of the people voted. All right, I'm going to close it out in about 5 seconds. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close it. And let's see. Oh, Joey, what do you think about this? It looks like 75% is forecasting demand for inventory, and then the other 25 is processing orders on time.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm surprised there's 0% on the other ones. Yeah, I mean, that's a big topic. And of course, this webinar is not meant to be really focused on Webgility, but it's interesting. It's kind of telling because that's an area that we actually just started doing some development and adding features for in our software to help with actually forecasting. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not surprised, to be totally honest with you. I worked for a very big box brand. It was a children's brand. And year after year, we sold these pink kitchens, these beautiful wooden kitchens for children. And specifically the pink one, every single holiday season would get sold out. And I mean, immediately, like by November, we had no pink kitchens in stock. So I never understood each year why we wouldn't just order more and capture those sales. I mean, I feel like we were missing maybe 20 grand each holiday season in these missed sales. So I'm not surprised about the demand for inventory, to be totally honest. It's a fine balance, what do you keep in stock versus what are you going to sell? It's hard. You don't want to have a ton of leftover inventory. So I understand why this is definitely a top concern.
Cool.
All right. Sorry, bear with me while I finagle back between screens.
Alrighty.
All right. Back to you, Joey.
Alrighty, well, yeah, I just have one more small section to go through, and then I'll hand it back to you, Sarah, and it's just getting your ships together. And this could be an entire webinar on its own, but just in the global kind of topic of prepping for the holidays, we'll keep it to one slide and address a couple of key points. So my kind of overall, theme here on shipping is you want to do your best to optimize for cost, quality, and experience. And basically what I mean by that is, you have to find that sweet spot. You don't just want to find the cheapest box and the cheapest packing and the cheapest shipping carrier, because that could create a nightmare. You could have broken boxes, you can have broken items in the box, you could end up with, lost packages if you're selecting shipping carriers that don't have tracking, or, just one thing or another. It's not always cheapest is best, but it's a factor. Quality doesn't mean you have to have the best quality, but you should have the quality that's appropriate for your business and for your customers. And then again, experience. Shipping is one of the, if not the most visible processes to your customer. So, how do they get those notifications? What actually shows up at their door in a box, and what that looks like, and what happens when they open it, and how does that look? All of that is part of the customer experience, and that's really how they think of your business. Obviously, the website, should be pretty or whatever, like that's part of the customer experience too. But what's tangible in the real world is the actual product that they get. And so it's important to really put some attention on it. So I'll just kind of go through these, touched on them already, but the box itself, hey, are you getting your boxes from the right box supplier? Are they giving you good rates? Is it good? Is it good cardboard? Does it stand up against shipping and everything? What can you do to kind of prevent damages, both from the actual box itself, and again, also the shipping carriers? You want to know who's taking that package and delivering it, and making sure that they handle it with care. And then you can think about things too, that kind of make a difference on that customer experience side of things, like do you want to do any custom branding? Sometimes you can put little logos on the box for not too much more, or customized sort of tape, like you see every Amazon package has that Amazon tape. There's ways to do that. And then box sizes, and that's important both from kind of a experience standpoint. Like you don't want like this tiny object coming in this weirdly shaped box, that doesn't seem to fit. So you want to make sure you have kind of an ideal catalog of box sizes there to fit the products that you actually sell. And then yeah, that's kind of it on that. Just the box itself, it's the right size, shape, what's going on it. And then inside, you got things to think about, like, are you picking the most appropriate packing material? Are you using peanuts, styrofoam, airbags, bubble wrap? There's not one definite answer, across the board, but it will kind of depend based on what you're shipping. What do you throw in there to kind of protect your items? And then actually, what else is in the box? The product itself, obviously, you want that to look nice. But then there's things like the packing slip, maybe there's like some kind of shipping letter or some kind of promotional material that you put in there that will kind of either entice them to buy or just make them feel good about buying from you. I always get excited when, even if it's something as small as a couple stickers from a brand I like, or I ordered shoes and they threw in free socks. Like, hey, I didn't even order socks, but that's great. I get free socks. These guys are awesome. So there's things like that you can think about to put inside the box. And then I have this note here, just kind of for fun. I would recommend that everyone go Google CD Baby shipping email. I think you'll enjoy it. It went incredibly viral, years ago when CD Baby blew up. And it's just a shipping email that absolutely would delight any customer to read this. So these are just those kind of small details to set yourself apart, during the holidays or really any time of year. Because again, that whole shipping process, that's what customers see, that's what's visible to them as far as interacting with your business. The last thing here is, test this stuff out before it's too late and you're caught, with your pants down in the middle of the holidays with some, subpar shipping carrier or boxes. You can do some tests. You can ship stuff to your employees, see what happens. Go, try to compare rates for the same exact box, or change the dimensions and weights between different carriers. You can start to figure out what those ideal situations are. Like, okay, when should I almost always ship FedEx ground versus FedEx 2-day? Or when should I always ship, stamps, parcel post? Maybe it's lighter packages, things like that. You want to test that stuff as much as you can. I'm sure you have some idea already just by what you've been doing, but it's good to kind of stress test that stuff ahead of time if you can. And then of course, find an expert. In this case, shipping experts probably would not be anyone at Webgility, but there are tons of logistics companies and people that are, consultants, even your rep from, FedEx or UPS or Stamps. They're usually pretty knowledgeable and can kind of help you really just streamline things as far as your boxes and your rates and getting all that dialed in. And then final thing is, really control the controllables, which is your own employees or yourself if you're doing the shipping. And that's to say, you can have all the right systems, you can have all the right boxes and carriers, and you can have all the right inventory systems. But if the person who's putting stuff in a box, putting a label on it, is messing things up, they're putting 2 left shoes inside of a shoe box, or they're grabbing a medium t-shirt instead of a small, you're gonna have issues. You're gonna have customers calling that are upset and returning things, or if they're just not getting to things, they're missing orders, that's not a person you want handling your shipping. And either just provide them better training, or just make sure that you find the right person who's suited for that, someone who's detailed, accountable, and is just gonna get the job done. I'll hand it back to you, Sarah, to kind of wrap up the 3 fixes to make this fall.
Great, thanks, Joey. That was wonderful. So we're going to start now with automation. Obviously the whole idea behind this webinar is to prepare you for the holiday season and avoid unnecessary stress and order issues. We all want the influx of holiday orders to be a good thing, and if you're bogged down with inefficient systems, it can certainly hinder that warm feeling you should be getting by this increase in business. So a few fixes will really go a long way to kind of lighten the load this holiday season. So just starting with automation, as Joey mentioned, we're huge fans of automation here at Webgility, and oftentimes the number of orders ramping in the holiday season quickly becomes unsustainable, and it leaves you with missed orders or late orders and dealing with a large, amount of data or manual data entry to be done after the rush. So instead of spending the holidays catching up on data entry, we of course highly recommend that you find an effective system to automate your sales, accounting, inventory, and shipping processes. Of course, we would have to recommend Webgility, but either way, we certainly implore you to automate your systems in whatever system you find works best with your business. We just want to enable you to spend more time to focus on growth as opposed to just staying afloat during the holiday season, which can be very, very difficult. And going right into data management, this is absolutely crucial to understanding the ebbs and flows of your business. Collecting and analyzing data can make or break your day-to-day operations, your profits, and your customer service. Thoroughly understanding the data can help you negotiate better terms with vendors, strategize free shipping incentives, prep for extra staffing, reduce returns, improve margins, and it can help you effectively market to your customers better if you know who that customer base is a little bit more. So, here at Webgility, as a company culture also, we are just huge into data management. In e-commerce, we find that it's really everything. When you can kind of point out these trends with your customers, you can certainly cater to them better and increase sales and profits. So a huge part of this webinar has been just kind of getting up to speed, right? We're prepping for the holidays, we're analyzing our systems. And the thing is, the e-commerce industry is always changing. And so is the market, so is the customer. So if you don't keep up with industry standards, it can really affect all areas of your operation. So it's time to evaluate the technology you're using as well as your subscription services. Like, are you getting the best price on shipping? When's the last time you shopped around for it? Like Joey mentioned before, now is the time to do an evaluation of your processes. What are your biggest time sucks? Are employees spending too much time searching your warehouse, grabbing that shipping label? Can you reduce returns? Trimming inefficiencies now will really pay off for the peak season. So again, it's all about prep. I know that was kind of a quick overview of that. So again, we're here for Webgility. We're here to help you. And of course, we'd love if you gave Webgility a try for your automation needs. As you can see here, we enable sellers to scale their business as well as increase speed and accuracy. And we're proud to say that we're the #1 automation software for QuickBooks and NetSuite. So I promise we know what we're doing. And if you are interested, this is where you can reach us. You can call us at 1-877-753-5373 or email us at hello@Webgility, and anyone would be happy to help you. And we're about to move into the Q&A, guys. So if you have not submitted a question, please do that now. All right. Joey, I'm going to toss this first question over to you. This person wants to know a little bit more in detail about how Webgility automates their transactions, specifically in QuickBooks.
Yeah, so I can try to address that. I think this would be a slightly longer form question that we can address, on a call or a demo or something, but I can give you the high level, which is, basically any transactions that come in from whether it's your website or Amazon or eBay, we will see all those order details, the items that were sold, the customer information, taxes, shipping, discounts, everything about that order, and automatically take that and post it into QuickBooks for you as some form of transaction, like a sales receipt or invoice, depending on the payment method and stuff like that. So hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, definitely. A follow-up question I think might be interesting to ask is, how quickly does it sync? Like, how long are we waiting for an order to happen for it to sync to the system?
Yeah, depends on, that kind of depends on like the plan, that you're on. On our highest kind of tier plans, the fastest that we can both kind of download and post to QuickBooks and like sync inventory, all that stuff, would be like every 5 minutes. And actually the orders themselves, like we see them almost immediately. But as far as actually posting into QuickBooks, that would be, again, kind of determined by the user. If they want to do that as like a daily batch at the end of the day, they can do that. Some people just do it every hour. So it's really pretty flexible. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Let's see. It looks like the next question is about inventory forecasting. They said that they just saw that it was a recent new feature, and they were wondering if you could speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so it is a recent new feature, and I believe there's also going to be kind of a part 2 release to it to iron out some of the things and add a couple of improvements to what's already there. Basically what the inventory forecasting does now is it works in conjunction with QuickBooks and your sort of online channel, and we'll look at your kind of sales velocity that's come through our system over the last months or years, and kind of we'll take that and compare it against your lead times, your carrying costs for that item, to give you sort of like recommended reorder points, as well as give you a place to easily see where you have kind of too much inventory, too little inventory, so that you can kind of determine what you should reorder, or kind of maybe push on like eBay and like sell through or something like that a little quicker. So that's kind of what's there now. Again, we'll be adding some stuff to that as well to automate even more parts of that process.
Wonderful. Let's see here. All right, I think those were all the questions we had. So thank you so much, everybody, for attending again today. What we were displaying today here was also the Happiest Holidays Selling Resource Kit. So that is attached to the webinar. But if you are listening after the fact on YouTube or any of our other resources, you can find that on our website at webgility.com. And again, this is where to reach us. I just want to say thank you so much to Joey. Joey, is there anything you'd like to add before we sign off here?
No, other than that, you know, you can reach the sales line if you have questions at extension 1. I think also, like, if you go to most pages on our website, including, you know, the pricing page, you can click a button to schedule a demo or go into our chat to ask questions. So plenty of ways to reach us there by phone, email, chat, or just scheduling a call. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And again, if you missed any parts of this webinar or you wanted to take a look at the slides again, this will be available after the fact. It will be emailed to you and eventually on our YouTube channel. So again, thank you so much for attending. We hope you learned a lot.